Hi everybody, today I'm going to show you how to make my very favorite dessert. It's an individual fruit crisp. This is my favorite go-to dessert at night when I'm craving something sweet, and it only takes minutes to throw together and stick in the oven. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to do is preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Then you'll want to get the rest of your stuff ready. All right, what you're going to need is an 8-ounce ramekin dish. This is my ramekin. You'll also need some kind of tray that is oven safe. So mine is a 9x13 pan, and I put parchment paper on it. Usually I use aluminum foil, but I'm out, and so parchment paper works good too, just to catch the overflow so that you don't have a huge mess to clean up. It's just, I like clean and easy. You're also gonna want a gallon-sized bag to put our extra streusel topping in that you'll be able to use later on throughout the week. Okay, then our ingredients. You're going to need 3/4 cup flour, 3/4 cup oats, a 1/2 cup brown sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, and then I like to use my pastry blender, and I just will kind of break up the brown sugar a little bit. You want to use a twisting motion. You push and twist at the same time just to get it all mixed up pretty good. Okay. Next, it calls for the best ingredient ever, butter. I like to use salted sweet cream butter. That way you don't need to salt anything on that. Okay. And then you're just going to blend it until it's in small, coarse, like pea-sized crumbles. And this will take a couple minutes to do. Sometimes you might want to grab a knife. I usually have one on hand, and I totally forgot to grab that. So I would grab a knife, and you just want to kind of scrape off all that butter so that you can keep on mixing it. So make sure you just push and turn. This is probably the most labor-intensive part of making this dessert. It takes the most time, and that's why I like to make a big batch of it so that I don't have to do this every night that I want a dessert. Then again, if I did have to do it every night, maybe I wouldn't be eating it so often. That might be a better thing, huh, for my waistline. Okay, you can see that it's starting to come together now. The clumps are getting bigger, and you don't see the fine dust flour. It's not dust, but the flour particles. It's just all coming together really well. Okay, scrape it off all that yummy goodness. One more time. Okay. And this is what it should look like. Perfect. Crumbly. It sticks together. And that is our streusel topping. Okay, now to make the fruit portion of the dessert. I love to make a peach and blueberry fruit crisp. And I have frozen peaches and frozen blueberries in my freezer all the time, but you could use any fresh or frozen fruit that you want for this recipe. So I have, it's about 1/2 cup of peaches, it's 7 slices of peaches. And then I have 2/3 cup blueberries. You can use more or less, just depends on how big your peach slices are, how much room you take up, and how much you actually want in your fruit crisp. Okay, at this point, I will actually go and microwave it for about 60 seconds if it's frozen, just to thaw it out. Okay, I microwaved it for 60 seconds and pulled it out. Now I'm just gonna take my knife and I'm just gonna cut up the peaches a little bit, just so they're not just huge slices in my dessert. And next, because when we cook, it's gonna soften and release the juices from the fruits. And I don't wanna just have a liquidy fruit crisp. I actually want to have a little bit of, almost like a glaze to it. And so I have about 1 tablespoon of flour, and I usually don't measure this, but today I did for you guys. And don't sprinkle the whole amount on. And then I have 2 tablespoons of sugar. We're just gonna sprinkle. So I'd say use about 1 tablespoon. You can use more or less depending on your personal preference. Sorry, I am one of those chefs, bakers, whatever you want to call them, cooks, who usually does not measure, because I know how I like my recipes to be. I know personal preference, right? So if you don't like it super sweet, just put a little bit of sugar on. It doesn't have to be much, just sprinkle, or none at all. And then I will actually taste it and see if it's sweet enough for me. I have a major sweet tooth, so I like mine sweet. So I would say I'm using maybe 1 tablespoon, a little bit less, maybe a teaspoon and a half of sugar. Just stir it up, see how it's thickened. So my sauce is thickened. Okay. And now I'm gonna put my crumble on. I grabbed about 1/2 cup. I don't always use that much. Just depends on how much fruit I stuck in there. And you're just gonna put it on top. So maybe about 1/3 cup is all you're gonna need. But you just do it until you have enough crumble on there to cover everything. Give it about 1/4 inch coverage on the top. And just spread it out. And break up some of the larger chunks. Okay, now it's ready to be put in the oven. Put it on top of my parchment paper on my baking pan. This is so it'll catch over any of the juices that will drip over. And then I don't have to scrub my pan. Easy cleanup by having parchment paper or aluminum foil underneath. Okay, now we're gonna put it in the oven that's set to 375 degrees for about 35 to 37 minutes. One thing I forgot to mention is that sometimes if you'd like to give it a little more flavor for the fruit, you can add in 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla mixed in with the fruit and the sugar and the flour. Today I didn't do that, but I will do that sometimes. Next, you're gonna take your gallon bag and you're gonna have the extra crumble. This is what you'll just use throughout the week or whenever you want. Oh, and I love my little nifty stand. I have to hold my bag. But now we have all this extra crumble, streusel topping that we can use at any time, so that it makes making this dessert super fast and easy when you want a good sweet treat at night. We put it in the oven, and now we're just gonna set our timer. I know my oven cooks this for me perfectly at 37 minutes. Okay, and we'll just wait and pull it out when the timer goes. Okay, timer went off, and this is our fruit crisp. Yum. I usually let it sit for about, I don't know, at least 10 minutes, 10 to 15, sometimes longer. I'll just start doing stuff because I like it to cool down so it's actually a little chewy and crunchy while I'm eating it. You can top it with your favorite topping. I don't know what you guys like to eat, if you'd like to do ice cream, whipped cream, both. But I actually like to pour milk on mine, so enjoy.